Alright, welcome back to everyone. We're here with Wargroove Act 6 Site 2, a fragile blockade. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use these merfolk to capture this village. And now we're going to send these harpoon ships to the side. We're also going to try and bring them to the north. So our main strategy is we want to fight around this region with harpoon ships, turtles, and keep some turtles here so that way we can keep this side closed. Because this northern area is very untenable in actually attacking through. The enemy brings harpoon ships, warships, turtles, and because of the fact that there's multiple normal sea tiles as well as these reefs, on top of the fact you have to cross the bridges themselves, attacking across here is very hard, so you want to set up a line of harpoon ships, warships across here. So that way you can bait the enemy into coming towards you before counterattacking them. These vampires, on the other hand, are going to be very useful to us. They're going to basically come toward this side, come to the north, and they're going to support Sigrid and her spearmen's advance. These spearmen are going to move up and they're going to capture that village, while the wagon is going to ferry Sigrid towards the north, so that way she can capture this village as well as try and fight off these spearmen and the rest of the reinforcements that come. So with that, we're going to end turn. So we see already the enemy is starting to get a massive numbers boost. They get more spearmen, they're going to get more air units coming from the center side. From these bottom tiles and as well as these top tiles, the enemy are going to get more ships. So we want to try and focus primarily on Navy because a lot of the air power that you can get gets countered pretty heavily by the harpoon ships, as well as the incoming storm owl that's going to be showing up in a few turns. So the spearman moves forward. Sigrid herself is going to deploy there. These vampires are going to advance towards and try and ward away the archers as well as the spearmen. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get a critical strike with this harpoon ship yet, but we're basically going to use that to attack this turtle that comes in. And we're going to use these deep folk in order to try and weaken them even further so they can just be finished off. And we're going to start getting our turtles up so that way we can deal with these incoming merfolk coming in from the side. So with that, we're going to end turn. So the enemy turtle shows up. Now we're gonna attack them with a harpoon ship, and now we're gonna hopefully finish them off. Yeah, let's hopefully finish them off, but unfortunately probably won't. So we're just gonna move forward and do that anyway. So thankfully we finished them off. So now we can focus on trying to deal with this Tengu coming in as well as these merfolk. We're actually going to build ourselves a second turtle because we're trying to get these turtles in a position where they can not only finish off these guys, but get into a position where they can strike a turtle that spawns here and a warship that spawns here. While these spearmen are going to come in and they're going to capture this village. Sigrid is going to come to the side and she's going to capture this village.
Am I invited?
Gotta slightly back away the wagon so that way we can try and boost off of it to get, if we need to redeploy somewhere. I'm going to put the vampires here. So again, we can hopefully ward away these archers and spearmen. And with that, we're going to end turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these harpoon ships to finish off these Tengus. them being dealt with, we're now going to move forward and we're going to fight. And we're now going to move forward and we're going to fight these merfolk in order to prevent them from attacking our harpoon ship. So now that we covered our harpoon ship and also severely weakened them, we can now focus on the south side. We're going to finish off these Kappa from the east. And these from the south. And that's going to set up our next turn attack. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to build ourselves a deep folk to try and help these weakened guys out, and as well as capture the rest of these stuff, these villages in the center. The enemy has decided to forfeit their archer by sending them forward. Unfortunately, they are going to fight back though, so that's going to be unfortunate. So we're going to do that. We're going to, and we're just going to send them here. We're going to use Sigrid to just stand in this position. And the vampires are going to come in and deal damage to the archer. Weaken them, because we really don't want them to clump up, because if they start clumping up, they can start getting the offensive pressure they need to just go on the all-out attack on us. So again, these vampires aren't going to be useful for long though, because eventually these harpoon ships, these mages, are going to get into position. And we're going to have to require support from the sea in order to deal with them. Either getting that or lucky with Sigrid's position where she can take them out. With that, we're just going to end turn. So the pikemen decide to go in for an attack on Sigrid. That's interesting, but they're going to take lots of damage in return. These Kappa decide to fight our deep folk from the reef. They deal little damage and they take it back. These archers decide to focus down the vampire a little bit. And the dogs decide to come in for an attack on Sigrid. Also is going to deal lots of damage to them. Okay, so our turn's attack is going to be set up. So we're actually going to move these deep folk here to capture this village. So that way we can hopefully bait in these Tengus that are coming to attack it and finish them off. Meanwhile, these merfolk are going to be finished off by the harpoon ship. We're going to finish off these. Yeah, we're going to finish off these spearmen.
Are you afraid?
And we're going to use the archer to try and cover, we're going to use the archer to cover Sigrid's northern flank, as well as finish off these archers. Now, the time of us being on the offensive here is going to be a little short-lived, because they're going to again be coming in with another archer and another mage, and that's pretty much going to render the vampire worthless. So we're going to move these spearmen forward. Again, we're going to cover their retreat when we actually have to do so. These guys are coming north. The attack that I talked about setting up before is now here. So now we're going to critically strike these turtles. Deal tons of damage. They could deal some back, but it's not even a crit, so it's going to be very little. And these warships, we're just going to sink. We're just going to sink them immediately. Now with them down, the enemy has pretty much lost a large amount of power, and we can pull back. And in fact, we're probably going to need to set up another harpoon ship. Yeah, we want to try and get this harpoon ship more north, so that way we can try and cover. Sigrid's force from any potential air attack, as well as try and get them in the center so that we can fight these harpoon ships. So with that, we're just going to leave the wagon where it is so the enemy can encircle Sigrid. And we're going to just in-turn. So thankfully, the enemy decided to go in for the attack on the village instead. And now we get to finish them off. The turtle comes in for an attack, but then gets finished off in return by our turtle's crit. Fortunately, it did do some damage though. The dogs decide to attack the wagon, which is okay with us. The spearmen decide to go in for an attack on Sigrid, which is going to be less okay because she's starting to get very low. Yes, and now with the mages showing up as well as the archer, it's about time for us to get out of here. So we're just gonna pull back. I mean, most of them are weakened now, so we're just gonna try and get Sigrid recovered off of the village. We're gonna try and pull back with our and we're gonna try and pull back just out of range of the enemy Thunder Bear. Probably around here so it can still provide some use. As for yes, okay, these harpoon ships, they can move forward and they can strike these Tengus. Them being downed, we're gonna move forward and we're gonna capture both of these villages. That one's under our control. Now this one to the east of it's gonna be under our control. And our next investment should probably be another harpoon ship. Gonna pull back with this turtle, as well as this turtle here. So that way we can try and keep the southern flank covered, because the enemy's gotta get even more forces in this area. But we're gonna have the time to deal with them in time. So we're just going to in turn. So the dogs decide to go in for an attack on our spearmen. It's going to be fine considering they're going to finish them off in return. So the enemy mage decides to go in, and they're most likely going to try and strike the village, which is going to be unfortunate. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put Sigrid here, and she's going to reinforce. While these pikes are gonna stand in this mountain, and they're probably gonna they're gonna try and cover this village by coming here. So that way, if the enemy decides to strike the wagon, the spearmen and Sigrid can counter. If they decide to go in the forest and critically strike, Sigrid and the spearmen can still counter. Meanwhile, these archers are just going to be blocking us from doing anything. These harpoon ships are going to move forward into the area, and they're going to try and help us. Fortunately, they're being covered by a turtle as well as a harpoon ship of their own. So we're just gonna strike at them. Yeah, so they're effectively gonna lose around half their health. Half that health gone. I don't think they would actually be able to reach us if we did. They'd be able to reach with a harpoon ship. So we have two options that we can do. We could either move forward and ensure this merfolk goes down, or we can come to the north and finish off. Or start weakening these archers. And I believe the archers are the more elusive prey, so we should go after them. So with the archers taking those heavy casualties, we're actually capable of... Yeah, we're actually capable of a lot more now. So we're probably just going to reinforce off of this village. Unfortunately, it's not going to be much. It's not going to be much, but we're going to reinforce off of there. We're going to send our next harpoon ship forward. Fortunately, I don't think we don't quite have the economic strength yet to build a warship and send it to support Sigrid, but we can get another harpoon ship, and we can just sort of hoard our money and try and just use these turtles as a deterrent for anything that tries to come down here. I'm not gonna reinforce just yet, but we are just gonna sort of hold. Okay, so with that, we're just gonna save our money and we're gonna in turn. So they did what I thought they were going to do, and they're going to attack our village from the forest and critically strike it. But they're going to take damage in return, so our spearmen and Sigrid should be able to finish them off. Fortunately, these guys are still going to come in for an attack. These archers are going to throw an attack towards our deep folk out of range, so we can't retaliate. Those injured spears are going to capture the village, and the enemy knight's going to be coming in soon. See an enemy storm owl is also coming in. So again, as we can see, things are starting to get pretty tough on us. So we're gonna go for it. We're gonna strike these merfolk. It almost finished it off, but we're gonna actually come over here and we're gonna strike here. Here to finish off these turtles. They're still out of range of there, so we're gonna pull. We're gonna try and lure. Not sure if we can, but we're gonna try and lure. No, yeah, we couldn't be able to fully punish them with the rest of our harpoon ship fleet, so we're just gonna move to the side and we're gonna attack here. It's really unfortunate. Basically, this middle is just gonna turn into like a World War I slogging contest where we just throw harpoons back and forth at each other. As for this side, we really want another harpoon ship because they're gonna be trying to advance toward us and probably even build or reinforce this turtle. I believe now would be a good time to reinforce this turtle. Because the enemies, again, they have harpoon coming, they're going to have a turtle coming. So you want as much open area to try and strike them from as possible. But now we got this village. This village is going to be ours. They're not going to be able to decapture it before we can get some income from it. So that's going to be good. Unfortunately, this guy's going to be most likely struck by the harpoon ship though. Which is going to be unfortunate, but he'll live. While Sigrid is going to come forward and she's going to strike these mages. He's got to take some damage in return. That's going to be fine. Yeah, I think the damage is going to be incredibly negligible. Meanwhile, the spearmen are going to come in from the side and finish them off. Okay. So we're going to use these spearmen to try and weaken... the merfolk to try and weaken the knight. So they're going to take some heavy damage, and the vampires are going to come in and they're going to wipe the floor with these archers. So, yeah, so now we pretty much have air superiority over this sector for now because the enemy is going to be coming in with the Storm Owl and possibly the Harpoon ship. If they don't, they're probably going to come south and attack, but possibly there. So with that, we're just gonna hold for now. And we're just gonna continue and see what the enemy does. So the enemy did indeed decide to go forward with the attack. They did some heavy damage, but they're gonna live. The enemy, seeing the clump, actually decided to do something that was pretty unexpected. They decided to go for a hex instead of try and chase our vampire. So that means we pretty much have a free hand in this area now. So we're just gonna move these guys to the side. They're gonna harass these spearmen. Yeah, so these spearmen are almost worthless now. So as for the vampires, they're gonna come to the side, and they're gonna pretty much weaken these guys to the point of being useless as well. I think Sigrid can even go on the counter-offensive a little. I mean, not much. We don't want her to be in range of the trebuchet, but we can go on the offensive somewhat. We're just gonna put the spear there, the wagon there, so that way in case this knight decides to attack the wagon, we can just finish him. Sigrid can go forward, and she still has her groove. Her groove is an insta-kill, so we should hold on to that until we find something really good that we want to use it on. As for these harpoon ships, they can come here and strike these turtles. Now that they're extremely weakened. Let's see, we can... I mean, unfortunately we couldn't use double turtles to finish them off, but we can use one turtle to critically strike them. So that's pretty much going to make them obsolete. So now they have very little in the way of power. We're even gonna double dip by moving another turtle in their range, but both of these turtles are gonna sink that harpoon ship on the side, and all the other harpoon ships can move forward to begin fighting this storm owl. Fortunately, we can't really kill them with only one harpoon ship. It's gonna be annoying because they have enough money to just keep hexing us. So we're just gonna move this one here. And now we're gonna finish them off with this weakened one. These deep folk are gonna retreat because we're most likely gonna use that village, so we want them to be around and try and reinforce off this village while we can. The enemies they're getting more stuff. Maybe we should get a probably around now is the time we should get a warship. Yeah, unfortunately we're starting to lose the battle in the middle here, so we're just gonna try and line up. Yeah, we're trying to exercise some patience. We gotta let them come across, because attacking across the bridge, as I said before, is pretty hard when you do it. But when the computer does, it's gonna be nearly impossible as well. So, we're gonna get the warship out, and we're gonna try and send that to the north, so that way we can help out the center flank as well as face off against and give support to Sigrid's front when needed as well. So with that, we're just gonna save the rest of our funds in turn. So the enemy Tengu decides to come in and decapture the village. This harpoon ship decides to strike the turtle that struck them, but we're gonna finish it off because it's still in range of another turtle. These knights that got wrecked by the vampire are gonna attack the village. Now they're out of our hair because they get finished off. Now they're starting to move across the bridge, so now we can use our defender's advantage to try and deal with them. Sigrid in the forest is going to be attacked. She's going to finish them off. Well, weaken them to the point of being worthless, that is. Okay, so now that we've got now that we've dealt with most of the problems in the south, we can send most of these forces up to the north, so we're actually gonna send. Yeah, we're gonna use that guy to finish that, but we're pretty much just gonna start just blasting them with harpoons now. Fortunately, they're all still in range of the harpoon of their own, but we're just gonna start blasting them. So we're gonna start with the closest guy first. Then we're gonna critically strike these Tengus so they're out of our hair. These turtles are gonna move in and they're gonna critically strike and sink this harpoon ship. Yes, and I believe these two are gonna come in and they're gonna. Yeah, these two should strike the guy in the back now. I believe we should try and use the merfolk to try and block, because we really don't want them getting within 2 range of this weakened harpoon ship, because I'm pretty sure that will kill. So now that we've highly unfortunate. So I believe striking here. I really don't want to move these guys forward, so I think there's gonna pretty much be no choice. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. I think I'm gonna just have to recall these turtles. Maybe it won't kill. Maybe. So we can't really move them in range without being in range of the harpoon ship. So I guess we should focus on Sigurd's front now. So these merfolk are gonna harass these mages. So they're pretty much going to be worthless, or at the very least, not as effective as they could be. Sigrid is just going to stay put. Yes, I believe her staying put is probably the better option. I think it'd be better if she just moved out, because like even if she does take another hit from that spearman, she still has her power, so she can just regain health by taking out another powerful enemy. And we're going to use. Yeah, we can just finish them off with this vampire. So now that those spearmen are down, we can pretty much just focus everything toward the north. Sigrid can keep going. We're gonna try and get more warships. Maybe another harpoon ship, because that harpoon ship has pretty much had it. So another harpoon ship. Try and recuperate some more off of this village. Unfortunately, we pretty much got everything from there. And we're just gonna in turn. Oh, maybe moving the wagon to shift Sigrid in case things get really out of hand. But aside from that, we're just gonna in turn. They've decided to go for an attack on our merfolk, which is really interesting and unexpected. I thought almost for certain they would just go for the weakened harpoon ship, but apparently not. So they're just gonna go in fully just blasting random stuff. Now
Goodbye.
Sigurd's have the health of those spearmen. Okay, we see an enemy warship coming in. Another turtle and another merfolk. I mean, we can yeah, still going there. They're not being covered by their own guys. So what we can do is we can just go in for an attack here. At full health, those guys are pretty much going to go down. And it's gonna be 80% damage. There's a chance that they're gonna try and block us by not attacking us, so we can't get a chance to recuperate. But we're just gonna shift our harpoon ship so we can potentially break an encirclement if it gets to that point. So we're gonna recuperate this harpoon ship. These harpoon ships are gonna come north, and they're going to pretty much weaken these guys who are just coming for all their attacks. We're gonna try and yeah, the warship is gonna be fine. If it goes down to the south, it's gonna have to deal with turtles. So we're just gonna get turtles that are gonna heal. So we're just gonna get another warship. That's what we're gonna need now. So we're just gonna need. Yeah, in fact, you know what? We'll send this warship north, and I don't think it'll really matter if it gets targeted by... Nah, I'll play it safer. I'll play it safer than Sawyer, so we'll just move them here. They're still going to be in a position to support Sigrid, but not in the most optimal position. And as for the harpoon ships, they can just sort of line up. Well, these guys can recover. I really want these guys to recover, which is gonna cost a lot of gold, but I believe that's gonna be better for us. These low health guys can recover. These guys can finish off these mages. They're just annoying us. Sigrid's front can cautiously advance because this trebuchet. We're just gonna move Sigrid to the side and finish off these guys.
How foolish.
I kind of want these spears to redeploy along the coast, or at the very least in the mountain. I think being in the mountain is better. The vampires can follow. Fortunately, they couldn't finish off that village. That's gonna be fine. But as for the rest of the navy front, we're just gonna move forward the harpoon ship. They're gonna blast. We're gonna just line up the rest of the harpoon ships so that way we can try and strike all across them as they move forward with their battleships and harpoon ship of their own. The vampire, I guess the vampire can go... I guess they can just go full forward. They can just go full forward and try and threaten these archers. They're not really going to be able to do much else. As for these two, they can stay put and basically just make up our wall, and with that we're just going to intern. So the turtle decides to go in for a futile attack on our full health guy. That's going to be fine. They're going to be wiped out in return. Fortunately, it's still going to be draining our strength on our turtles though. These guys are just going to be annoying, and they're going to hit us with an indirect attack. We're going to take some damage, but ultimately we're going to be fine. The warship is going to come in. We have more turtles. Actually, this warship isn't going to be vulnerable to much other than these two harpoon ships, so we don't really want a chance just throwing them at the enemy. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull back now. We see they're going to have a... Well, we're going to pull back somewhat. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use Sigrid and the vampire to decapture the village, where the spearman comes and recaptures it. Then, yeah, because the enemy is going to be closing in on us, we're going to use the wagon to evacuate the spearmen. Yeah, so we're going to do this. And the spearman is going to capture it, give us that extra income that we need. The spearman is then going to evacuate them, so that way we can get them set up in a new position to help us defend. Sigrid, she's going to be fine because she has her power up, so she can just re-heal. As for the warships, they're going to move up toward the coast, so now they're in the optimal position to support. The warship is unfortunately going to come in, so we're just going to let them come in, and they're probably going to destroy... They're probably going to wreck the village. So, by wrecking the village, we need to just pull back and let them come to us. And this is World War I, just at sea. So, we're just going to pull back, going to recover some health on our turtle. These warships are going to go in. These harpoon ships are going to basically just make a line. Gonna get ourselves another harpoon ship even. I mean, since we're gonna lose the village anyway, we might as well pull back or slightly pull towards the sea these merfolk and just recuperate off the sea village while we can. It'll help us reclaim it later. Okay. The wagon's still going to stay in place to help us evacuate the spearmen, and with that we're going to end turn. So, the enemy has decided to cross the bridge, and now they've basically come into our world. The harpies are unfortunately chasing our turtles, but that's going to be fine once we clump them up with the rest of our harpoon ships. So, we see the enemy has become very bold, so what we're going to do is we're going to use... And we're basically just going to retreat down here because... Fortunately, we're going to be critically struck. Well, we're gonna load Sigrid. Oh, we gotta load our spearmen first. Then we're gonna drop them off here. Sigrid's gonna... Actually, she can stand on a mountain. And now Sigrid's gonna stand on the mountain, and she should be fine because she's gonna be having that extra defense, even if she does get crit. Meanwhile, these vampires are gonna pull back. We can deal with these. There. Okay, we need to start sorting out the naval front. So because the enemy is starting to chase us with most of their heavy assets, we're gonna try and focus them down. These guys are gonna move up north. Gotta try and stay out of range of there. So we're just gonna start shelling their warship. These guys are gonna get a critical strike from the guys in the reef. And these guys are gonna recapture the village. We have one more warship strike and they should be able to be finished off by... Oof, yeah, we don't want to get too close. We want to use our superior range to not take kickback damage. Yeah, so whatever damage we take there is going to be very negligible. So these guys can finish off these guys, while these guys can finish off. Well, these guys can finish off them. Yeah, we can move. That'll be fine. We'll move this warship up. It might kill, it might not, but if not, they're pretty much going to have such low health they won't be able to do much. Yeah, unfortunately they did survive, but they're not going to be able to really do much back to us. As for here, we're just going to finish off. I guess we could hold back one turn. I suppose we could hold back one turn, just let the enemy go the attack on Sigrid, because I believe Sigrid is gonna survive, so we're just gonna let that happen. I'm just gonna try and keep most of our assets away from, or at the very least, I believe Sigrid's gonna overwrite their targets, so we're just gonna keep them in the sea. Gonna finish. I'm actually still worried about Sigrid taking there, so we're just gonna. Yeah, these guys can just come in and do this. Sigrid should survive. Okay, so now we sunk the enemy warship. These two harpoons can come to the north and they can start striking across here. Man, I believe they're going to be a little vulnerable, but it's not going to be too much of a problem because we're going to have multiple warships as well as more harpoons. In fact, I believe that's what we should also buy this turn, another harpoon ship. Like, you really do not want to take for granted their range. It's pretty much their most efficient feature, just the fact that they can attack a large variety of enemies. Well, the main ships that we're going to be fighting from range. The turtle is going to be moving to the north. Maybe I should have reinforced off the village, but that's going to be fine. With that, we're just going to end turn. Again, we're pretty much just getting our conclave of harpoon ships, so that way we can shell everything down to stop them. So the knights are going to unfortunately crit Sigrid. It's gonna be unfortunate, but yeah, she's gonna be fine because if the archer goes in for an attack on her, which they are, it's not even a crit, and she's gonna be able to. Yeah, she's just gonna be able to use her groove and heal off of one of these unfortunate souls. Okay, the enemy harpoon ship decides to come in and strike one of ours, but it's gonna be counterattacked and then finished off by the rest of them. Yeah, these guys were left a little vulnerable, but again, they're going to take some damage, but our warships are most likely just going to finish them off. You have another turtle coming in, so. So now we're going to start using our massive superior position to just start wiping all these guys out now. So the merfolk just went in and they just completely obliterated those guys. So now we're going to use our warships to do much the same. These archers are going down. Now that those archers are down, we can focus down. Let's see. I believe it'd be very effective to focus down. Yeah, okay, we're gonna focus down these trebuchet. Yeah, we're gonna go in with a joint attack on the trebuchet with the spearman. Now the trebuchet is down. The Sigrid can just move forward, and now she's gonna steal this guy's soul. And our vampires can finish off these knights, who are unfortunate enough to stand right above a mountain. So now that they're dealt with, we can turn our focus back to the naval front. We have more guys coming in, but we have more harpoon ships coming in, so it's going to balance itself out. guys are gonna move forward and take out those Tengus. These guys are gonna move north and they're gonna start striking these turtles. These guys can reinforce off of this village. These guys can finish off these. Can we finish off the turtles? It's gonna be a luck roll. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, we also don't have any guys that we could put in there, so we're just gonna play it the safer route, and we're just gonna start trying to keep everyone clumped together. You want to try and at least keep them clumped, because if we can keep them clumped, then that way our force effectiveness can just continue to rise. We can critically strike these harpoon ships from the reef. We gotta take some damage back, but that's fine. We can try and we don't want to get too distant, so we're gonna try and form up again and try and congeal. These harpoon ships are gonna strike these guys. Doesn't kill, that's unfortunate. So we're just gonna come here. We're gonna finish off the turtle. Then we're just gonna use those merfolk to finish off the turtles instead. Yeah, the merfolk are gonna come in. We're gonna deal with them. Okay, so these should kill. If they don't, that's gonna be fine, but it really should. So we're gonna get some defense, so even if they do live, they're not gonna be able to deal that much back to us. Okay. So we're going to pretty much just soft contain these warships now, because they don't really have the range or the ability to fight the turtles. So we're just gonna come forward. We're gonna heal off them, which is unfortunate because I also want to heal these guys off them, but I guess this will have to do. And we're gonna be left with almost just enough for another harpoon ship of our own. Another harpoon ship. And so now we're basically just gonna let the battle continue until the enemy runs out of guys. So we're just gonna go. The warship makes a run north. Okay. It's not covered by the... Unfortunately, it ran out of range. Unfortunate. So we're just gonna put these turtles here. They can finish these guys off. It's not gonna be that big of a deal. As for the warship that got away, we're just going to pull back. Yeah, we're just gonna pull back and reform up there later when we can. As for this harpoon ship, fortunately we can't strike them yet, but we will be able to later. So we're just gonna just let them. Actually, we're just gonna put this guy here. These guys here. We're basically gonna try and set up a concave of harpoon ships, so that way when the enemy eventually moves forward to shoot this merfolk in a reef, they can be counterattacked. Fortunately, we have ourselves a storm owl coming in, but that's gonna be fine, considering Sigrid is just going to, well, assuming it's not in range of the harpoon ship, yeah, but Sigrid's going to. Actually, I think about it, yeah, Sigrid should just capture this village. Yeah, Sigrid's just gonna capture the village. She's gonna be a target for one of the dogs, and that's gonna be fine. That's gonna be fodder just to give her her power again. Warships, they're just gonna come in. They're gonna strike these dogs, and the other warship is gonna come in and they're gonna destroy those trebuchet. And with both of those gone, yeah, both of those gone, it's just gonna be one dog fighting Sigrid, which is gonna be a one-sided affair. As for the Storm Owl coming in, unfortunately, there's not going to be a lot that we can do about it. So we're just going to pull back slightly. These guys can take up position in the mountains. So we're not going to advance too far because they will have a giant that spawns here as well as getting a dragon. So we're going to pull our forces to the north, but we got to try and make sure that we're not in range of the warship, like at all. Well, I guess except maybe the turtle, because the warship can't really do a whole lot to them. So we're just gonna put this turtle maybe as bait. Maybe he'll take it, maybe not. It won't really matter either way. We gotta get another harpoon ship. These merfolk can stay along the coast. That's fine. Or maybe even come in a little bit closer. Just a little bit closer. Maybe they'll take him instead if we just put him here. And with that, we're just gonna end turn and see what the enemy does. So they decide to go in for the attack there. The warship decides to take the bait. They attack. No, they're gonna attack these guys sitting in the reef. But because they're gonna get that defense bonus, they're gonna pretty much deal with them. Sigrid is going to be attacked by the dog, as expected. Fortunately, she was weakened a bit by the hex, but that's also fine. Okay, so we have the giant, the warships, the dragon, the turtles, all that. So, because we baited the enemy into coming towards us with the warship, we can actually deal with them in a manner more effectively. So we can, because we bait the harpoon ship, so we can basically just come in and nearly sink them. Fortunately, we are going to be putting these guys in a little bit of danger because they're on the beach. They're going to be on the beach and they're going to be in a little bit of a precarious situation. But we gotta try and get that under control by just moving in our massive harpoon ships. I mean, hopefully it baits the enemy and just to, well, some of the enemy. Watch out, Dad. These guys are gonna strike. We're going to move these guys north. These guys can come north as well. Yeah, I want to just target down this harpoon ship because it's gonna be a problem. Fortunately, we can't fully block the turtle, but we can block a lot of the turtle. So we're just gonna stick to our original plan. We're gonna pull these guys back. They can get a reinforce, I suppose. While this guy comes in, they quickly strike this enemy harpoon ship. We're gonna take some damage in return, but that's gonna be mostly negated by the reef. Yeah, well, this guy's gonna finish the job. So, that harpoon ship down, we're pretty much gonna be fine, because if this turtle attacks us, they're gonna be attacking us from a beach themselves, so they're pretty much gonna be at a disadvantage. Yeah, so these harpoon ships can finish off the storm out, so that way we don't have to continuously suffer under their hexes. So with them down, I will actually put Sigrid here, so hopefully she baits both an attack from the dog, which will finish them off, but also an attack from the harpy, which will reduce the enemy's number. We're actually gonna try and recover from that hex. We're gonna reheal these battleships, so that way we can try and finish them off. These guys can retreat because we don't want them to attack the spearmen. So Sigrid is gonna be able to hopefully retreat to the wagon. As for this harpoon ship, we're gonna put it. Well, we're gonna put this one harpoon ship here. We're gonna keep this harpoon ship in the middle. We have a vampire. I guess we can put it next to the battleship. There's not really much else we can do with it. Yeah, so now we basically just deal with the dragon. That's going to be our biggest problem now. So how do we deal with the dragon? It should basically just come to us and be shot down, but it can sort of force us back and force us to take longer to deal with all this stuff if we're not careful. So we're just going to get another turtle, I believe. Another turtle ought to help us. So that way we can hopefully come off the side, hook up the flanks, and deal with the rest of these stragglers when the time comes. So with that, we're going to... Yeah, with that, we're going to end turn. We're going to let the enemy come towards us, and we're going to hopefully finish them. So, Sigrid was targeted by the by the Tengu. So with the Tengu attacking Sigrid, and the dog now attacking Sigrid, yes, we can. Sigrid can finish off the dog now. Get some additional groove. The Tengu is going to be taken down. The turtle is going to go in for the attack on the other turtle, which is fine because it's going to be in harpoon ship range. And we're very close to the end of this. So we need to strike here. Yes, so now these turtles are down. Unfortunately, we can't really reach the enemy harpoon ship. But that's going to be fine since we don't really need to reach them as much as we really do just need to take out the turtle and the rest of their support. Because once we take out the rest of their support, they're just going to be isolated. So, yeah, these turtles can go in. So those harpoon ships should these guys are going to go forward. Strike. And yet another strike here. Okay, these turtles should come to the side and recover. The same with these turtles, but unfortunately we don't really have a good space to recover them, so we're just gonna keep them. In reserve. These merfolk can come to the side and capture this village in the center. So this village in the center are ours. We can get more money and continuously fight. Fortunately, we see the dragon is gonna basically be the most annoying version of itself it can be, and go there to try and fight Sigrid. Thankfully, we can just. We're gonna pull Sigrid back. She's gonna recover here, while our warships say hello to the golem. Because I believe they're not in range of the warship or the dragon, so that's gonna be fine. They're gonna say hello to the golem, finish them off, or at the very least severely weaken them, so they can't do much. The warship is threatening most of our guys, so we're gonna pull back, finish off these Tengus. Yeah, we're gonna set up a line of harpoon ships. These merfolk can pull back slightly. These spearmen can just run away. The wagon is gonna basically shuffle Sigrid wherever she needs to go. Suppose these warships will also stay in the area. Also just gonna give Sigrid that additional support if she needs it. Gonna reinforce off this sea village. These harpoon ships are gonna come north. I don't think much of what we build is gonna actually get there in time, so I think the only thing we should build is just another turtle, just if we can try and force that additional amount of stuff. And with that, we're actually gonna heal as well. Yes, we're gonna recover these vampires on this village here, because right now money is of no object to us. So with that, we're just gonna intern. The mage decides to go in for an attack on Sigrid. So they're gonna do some damage to her. She's gonna deal lots of damage back.
Goodbye.
Rinse and repeat. So they're gonna go down. The golems decide to come in for an attack on Sigrid, but because they're already at such low health from the battleship barrage, she's just gonna finish them off and hopefully gain her power. Not quite. The archers are gonna come in. They can too be finished off by the battleship. The harpoon ship, as expected, came in for an attack on our fresh turtles. And these guys are going to decapture that village. Unfortunate, but they've come in our range, so at the very least we can deal with them. Meanwhile, they start shuffling all their guys toward the center. Okay, so now we see the dragon is starting to make its presence known. So we don't want to be standing on a road. So what we shall do is we don't want to have guys in the way of that. Yeah, so what we could possibly do is just move Sigrid into the forest, so that way she gets the additional defense. And the storm owls are gonna die this turn, so I believe that's what we should do. So Sigrid moves into the forest and strikes
Are
the.
you afraid?
And she's gonna finish off these guys. Maybe it'll give her power. It does. Okay, and now these vampires are gonna strike the archers. So now they're pretty much worthless. They can't give the dragon the additional boost to kill Sigrid. But meanwhile, we're going to move these harpoon ships here. Actually, I think no. Unfortunately, I think we can only strike this battleship with 1, 2, 3, a few, just a few. The few guys, and yeah, we're gonna sink. Yeah, we're just gonna straight up sink this. Yeah, this harpoon ship. Yeah, so we're just gonna straight up sink this harpoon ship with our turtles. With them sunk, we can begin trying to deal with the incoming. So these guys are gonna move north. They're gonna. Yeah, these two guys who are already north, they can deal with the storm owl. The last thing we want is another hex to come down on our army. And I believe the warship may target down the village now that I think about it. So instead of attempting a oof, so it can. I mean, it's gonna be really. I mean, at the very least, it won't crit. So we're gonna retreat. We're gonna finish off these guys. We gotta try and make another boat line of of harpoon ships. These guys are going to come down. They're going to recapture the village. And I believe our turtle should heal off of it. And I don't think there's a point of building anything else. It's pretty much what we see here is pretty much all that we can really have to fight with. So... in order to back up away from any potential crit range, we're going to come here. As well as back up here. We're going to back up and we're going to throw attacks towards these merfolk. And this critical strike is going to come in towards the merfolk. And now we're basically just going to try and, I guess we'll just like move them to the south slightly, finish them off. These guys are going to move up. Give us an additional layer of fire. These guys, since they're higher health than the other ones, they can be recovered. These guys can be recovered. Let's see. I suppose now that we've dealt with the giant, we can actually back up and try and use these warships. These guys are pretty much no longer useful, so we're just going to move them in the water reinforced. Maybe they'll get some help. These guys are going to retreat because we don't want accidents. In case Sigrid, she doesn't really need an evacuation at this point, so we're just going to leave these wagons here, just outside of range of the archers. Yeah, so she can hopefully ferry her toward maybe the sea, trying to block an attack later, but I don't think that's going to happen. And with that, we're just going to end turn. So the dragons do indeed come for Sigrid. They attack her, and they don't do that much. These warships decide to go in for an attack on our harpoon ship. They're gonna almost take it out, but the ship is gonna live. These archers are gonna critically strike Sigrid. So now we are pretty much one turn away from finishing this. We pretty much have the checkmate. So we're going to... okay, so we're gonna end this next turn, I think exactly on turn 20. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move Sigrid here. She's gotta take the soul of this dragon.
How about you?
These warships are gonna... yeah, they're just gonna move forward. They unfortunately can't do much yet. But they're pretty much gonna try and prevent the enemy from retreating like at all. Sigrid's gonna be in the way here. We're gonna finish off... yeah, we're gonna finish off these archers. So the enemy vampire should come in for an attack on Sigrid. So we gotta put the wagon here so they fight her on the street. These turtles are gonna come in. They're gonna finish off these guys. So now we're pretty much just gonna encircle and destroy the warship as well as the harpoon ship next turn. So with that, the time limit on this is actually, again, pretty strict, because you see we have to deal with a lot of stuff, and we have to pretty much set up and do a lot in order to actually get ourselves in the position to finish this. But it's gonna be fine. These guys can, again, they're just gonna come forward. We pretty much have it. The second they move forward towards them, they're gonna be taken out by the harpoon ships. We can try and move these guys forward. Again, there's not really much else we can do. We don't want to put any weakened turtle in range of there, so we're just gonna use our harpoon ship first to come in for a strike, and I think maybe maybe if we put this turtle here, the harpoon ship will be tempted to shoot that. But as for this turtle, I think that turtle will be fine. They're just gonna come in and they're gonna strike and take out the warship. So with those warships down, we're going to just move the rest of these guys forward so they don't feel safe coming down to the south. They don't feel safe retreating up to the north. They don't feel safe doing anything. So we can hopefully finish it next turn because they're in range of all sorts of turtles, harpoon ships, warships. There's no point in building anything, so we're just going to end turn. The enemy decides to come in for attack on our turtle, but because we pretty much have them surrounded at this point, those are going to be some of our last casualties besides these vampires here. I believe they were going to attack Sigrid, but that's ultimately fine. So these harpoon ships, they're going to finish off these guys. There's not really a lot they can do. So, and then now we're going to move the warship across the bridge, and now we're going to launch our own attack on here. Now these warships are going to go down, and exactly turn 20, we've defeated this mission. So with the turtle crit, that's going to do the job. So this mission is mostly just memorization. If you can memorize the main type of... You need to recognize that the main type of enemies that you're going to be fighting are extremely weak to the harpoon ship. Like, again, the main thing, the enemy harpoon ships, the turtles, merfolk are weak to harpoon ships if you can get enough of them. Harpoon ships are really just the name of the game here. We get a lot of them in the center. We get some warships to support Sigrid in the north. Some merfolk in order to try and take out those stray merfolk that get close to you. And turtles to try and snipe warships as well as act as bait for harpoon ship attacks. But with that, that's all I really have to say for this one. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.